What's going on, everybody? It's Ron Brown, LMT, the People's Fitness Professional, alongside my co-host,
Mikey Fever.
and this is a New Yorker's perspective. I just want to let y'all know, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe to the page. Please,
Hit
please.
the damn button. Hit that damn button and go to Rumble. So, my bad.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Say that again.
I said hit that damn button and go to Rumble.
Hit
Go
that button, man. So look, check this out, y'all. Thank y'all for joining us today. And for all of those who just got on the platform, just brand new to the platform, we have different subjects, different people on from different walks of life. Nation of Islam, 5% Nation, Moorish Science, etc., etc. Now we got the brother Raheem, and we have the brother Lord KBorn on today. If you're not familiar with Lord KBorn has been on with us for some months now. But he brought his friend, brother Raheem with him today, and we're gonna talk a little bit about politics. And that's pretty much it. So, brother Raheem, I would like for you to introduce yourself, explain to the people exactly who you are, what you do, and your purpose of your business.
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, shalom alaikum to everyone. Shalom to everyone. Peace. Universal greetings to everyone. I want to thank you, brothers, especially, the Lord KBorn for inviting me up here on this platform. As y'all see, my name is Raheem Architect Soto. The Architect is the hip hop name. I started out in 1990, signed to a group called Jodeci in the Basement. Had a long music career, produced, recorded for all your favorite artists from EPMD to 50 Cent, Mary J. Blige, Def Jam, Atlantic, Bad Boy. About 15 years ago, my identical twin brother and I transitioned from going from our schools of thought, from the Moors to Islam to you name it. And in our study, we ended up, and where we landed at was finding that Noble Drew Ali had said something that was very important to us, which is that we're part and parcel of the said government. And everything else kind of fell to the wayside, and we've been able to transition what we learned in hip hop and working at radio stations and doing hip hop into urban engagement in the political side of things. So my brother's currently running a campaign for Congress down in North Carolina. Here in Suffolk County, I sit on the Suffolk County Republican Committee, my local town committee, and of course the state committee. We've been personally involved and responsible for getting, races done, all the way from local judges all the way up to congressional candidates. And we started this platform, the Urban Conservative, going on 5-6 years ago. And the urban part of this is an acronym. Yeah, it represents our culture and where we come from growing up in New York City, but it's also an acronym for understanding reality beyond all narratives. So what we seek to do at the Urban Conservative is not push people any way, but just get them thinking beyond the narratives that have been given to us about politics, about religion, about health, about a number of subjects. So like I said, we've been very, very intricately involved. I served on the presidential Republican task force, got a letter from Trump. I'm a grassroots leader in New York, worked on the Trump campaign, and seen behind the fence. I've seen behind the other side. So that's what I'm kind of bringing to the table. Thanks for letting me, get that out there.
That's peace. That's peace. I like your background and understood, as they say in the 5% Nation, understand and understood. Lord KBorn, just for the new people, new viewers, I would like for you to introduce yourself for those who don't know.
Peace and blessings. I'll be KBorn Rivers, founder of a nonprofit organization called I Am My Community. It's located in the Bronx. We promote public safety and community engagement in our community by bringing mental health awareness programs, parenthood programs, and we got an anti-violence unit, which means somebody gets shot or harmed in our community. We try to get both sides, bring them together so it don't be no type of retaliation. We also have a food pantry once a week where we feed over 100 families, and also been making hip-hop records since 1987. I made the hip-hop classic Rap's New Generation. Peace.
Peace. All right. Mike, do you have anything to say before we go into the questions?
Nah, man. I respect what the brothers are doing, man. Like the acronym for the Urban Conservative Group, that's respecting what KBorn is doing. As we already know, KBorn been out there. So salute to y'all brothers for real, man. We need more of that in the community, man.
Yeah, for sure. So let's go into the first question. What is the role of political parties in modern democracy?
Mm. So if you want me to grab it first, or you want KBorn, who you?
No, yeah, it's you, God.
Okay.
Yeah, you build it.
All right. So the purpose of political parties in the modern system, right? Okay. So let's get a date. How modern are we talking, right? Are we saying if we want to talk about the inception of the two-party system here in America, the Republican Party, the Democrat Party? Well, the Republican Party has its inception in something called abolitionism. The Republican Party started off as the party that was not with slavery. It was made up of I know my Moorish brothers don't like the term black, but it was made up of black, white Christians that did not agree with slavery. So in that, you had the Democrat Party, which was founded as an opposition to that. And basically, the political structures here, the two-party system here in America, is really simply put, it's a system designed to organize people to sway what politics, to be honest. And politics, kind of, we have to describe that too, a defined politics. So politics is really 6 or 7 different things, right? So when you look up the word politics, what you're going to see is that it alludes to how power is distributed, and that's power over resources, power over opinion. So you're going to delve into it, and then you're going to find that there's a term called political science, and that political science draws off of several things: psychology, sociology, law, economics, anthropology, history. Those are, when you go get a political science degree, those are the subfields that you're going to learn, because you need all of those things to understand, how politics works. So the party system in itself is the heart of the operation, if you will. It's like you got the Bloods, you got the Crips, you got one gang, you got the other. So more importantly than the roles that they play is what are their, what we call core values, which is the most important question. So the core values of the Republican Party are low taxes, low government. I don't need you in my business. I don't need you in my household. I don't, we want small yet effective government. We want to save and protect human life. We want maximum amount of liberty. We want free market capitalism. Whereas the Democrat Party on the other side, which anybody could look this up, the Democrat Party was founded on trying to maintain slavery, was founded on trying to maintain this idea that there are categories of lesser beings, that the white man is better than the black man, if you will. So the two-party system, some people say we need a third party. I'm not a fan of that. But the party system in itself makes perfect sense. We could go all the way back to antiquity and see that if you didn't have what's called an autocracy or dictatorship or any of those type of things, then you would usually have groups of people that would come together and form groups to decide on the social agreement that we would have. So who's going to be in charge of the water? Who's going to be in charge of our border security? Who's going to be in charge of protecting the flocks? Who's going to be in charge of collecting taxes and things of that nature? So to have equity in those things, and you align, obviously we align, like aligns with like. So you have people that you gravitate towards that have your same core values. And then, that's how that works. So that's a, just a brief description of it. The role that they play now has been very divisive. The media, if we allow the media, which I have another acronym for, the media is multi-ethnic destruction in America. That's what the media is. That's the purpose that it serves, is to destroy everything. At this point, it's no longer about news, which is north, east, south, and west, northeast, west, and south, right? That's not what we getting no more. So, I don't want to go too far, but that's kind of where we at with the two-party system here in America.
Okay.
Anything to add on, KBorn? You want to add on anything?
Yeah, I feel the same way. Basically, because all they really do is promote Democrat and Republican. They don't even let people know that there's other parties, and most people don't even know that. So they get into where they feel that they got to choose one against the other. So they be like, they don't know nothing about the working party and things like that. So it's a lot of knowledge that need to be spread and taught to the people.
That's a fact. That's a fact. So I have a question. How do electoral systems vary around the world, and what impact do they have on representation?
So let's deal with here, right? An electoral system or voting system is a set of rules that's designed to govern how people get put into positions of power. Like I said, so here we have and you'll see this kind of replete. This is nothing original. So a lot of brothers are misunderstood in that the Europeans or the colonizers have created a system, and that's not the case. They have taken from other pre-existing systems to create what we have here, where you have this three-part system. You have the executive branch, you have the judicial, and you have the legislative branch, right? So usually that's what you're going to find is those three systems in place. Now, there's another misconception that we have to deal with, that the power trickles from the top down, and that's not the case. The power starts in your local community. So what happens is that in every single municipality, city, town, borough, whatever you have here in New York, let's use New York, for example, you have the state board of elections. There are commissioners elected to those elections. And then you have your county board of elections, where people have jobs and they determine the rules and regulations that go into the voting system. So what happens is we elect our local officials, we elect our supervisors, we elect all of these people. And when we abdicate and don't show up and vote for those positions, people with whatever agenda they have get those positions. So it starts locally. So it starts with your local comptroller, it starts with your local tax receiver, your local, your school board, your fire, your police department, your sheriff. Then those group of people come together to make up a bigger body. So in New York State, we have and I'll pull up the numbers, but I think Democrats or Republican representatives in the state assembly, for example, it's majority Democrats in the state assembly. So whatever policies those Democrats want, you will get. Now, somebody could check this, and if I'm lying, I'm flying, and I can't fly. It is lawful in New York State to marry and have intercourse with your cousin. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but if somebody right now pulls up the map of the states, and I don't know if y'all will let me share the screen, but if you pull up a map, you will see that it's lawful. Okay, so I'll pull it up. Yeah, so here we go. And all of the y'all home can follow along. Map of states where you can marry cousin. All right. All right, so here's the map, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna click on this. We're gonna hit my share screen right here. Share screen. We're gonna show this right here. All right, let me know when you got that. Cool. So now what you notice, and I'm gonna zoom in on this for the family at home so that y'all can see the map key here. So this is the states, the deep blue states where it's legal. Y'all see New York, right? Now, somebody else can pull up a map and overlay this map with the states that are Republican and Democrat. And you're going to notice a very, very interesting thing. They line up. In other words, in the Democrat strongholds, it's lawful or legal to marry your first cousin. So this is how it works. So it's a criminal offense where it's dark red, Texas. Statute bans marriage, right? With some exceptions. Pardon me. So the reason I bring this up is because when we asking about, well, how does this work, and how do the electoral systems work? It works at the hyper local level. We like to talk about national body politics and Trump and Biden and whoop, but we don't know who our county commissioners are. We don't know who our legislator is, or what legislative district we're in, and what is the agenda of that person. What is their moral compass? Clearly, we're electing people who think it's okay to do this nastiness, which none of us are here going to agree that that's cool. So just as an example of showing y'all in real time how this works. So you start off with your local and then it works up. So everybody, your state legislature has a caucus, the Democratic caucus, the Republican caucus. So that caucus, that group of people that we elect, they then get to bring that agenda to the next level, which is the state level. From the state level, they get to then get together and bring that agenda to the federal level. And that's where we end up with policies like this, policies like late term abortion and all the other things they're coming up with. So I hope that answers your question.
Man, that was an earful. That's understood right there, man.
Understood.
Yep, and I'm big on that too, God. You know, I stress that on this show, to know local politics and know who your local politician is, know what district you in, attend your community boards. We big on that.
That is important, because the majority of people are focused on the presidential election every 4 years. That's like the hype, as you mentioned. The media perpetuates that as the biggest thing to get involved, and people overlook that and just go straight there instead of looking at the local stuff.
Yeah, you all in the White House trying to make changes in the White House. You know what I'm saying? We got to start with making the changes in our community and then working it up.
Well, there's another side to it too, because within the voting systems or the electoral systems, there's something called the plurality system, right? Which is the candidates with the highest number of votes win. Then you have something called the majority system, where a candidates must receive the majority of the votes to be elected in either a runoff or a final election. So there's multiple types of system. There's also something called the proportional system, right? So it's a lot of different systems, and this is why I always tell people political science is the key, not just politics, but political science, because the science is the knowing part. The politics is the shaping and forming of opinions, and the science is the knowing. So I'll share this one other thing real quick. Hold on, let me share this so this way the family can see it. Here you go, right here. Let me share this tab right here. Get back here, share the tab, present, share screen. Boom. I'm gonna share this right here. All right, you got that?
There we go.
Okay. So the study of politics is called political science. It comprises numerous subfields, namely 3. Comparative politics. Now, this is important, and I want to, just for the scholars that are watching this, Wikipedia is not the end all be all, but it is a great place to just get a basic understanding and work from there. So we don't use this as this is because Wikipedia said it. No, but this gives us a basic understanding. So comparative politics in the field of politics is characterized by either the use of comparative method or other empirical methods, meaning science-based, fact-based methods to explore politics between countries. Then you have international relations and political philosophy. So as I said before, political science draws upon the fields of economics, law, sociology, history, philosophy, geography, psychology, psychiatry, anthropology, and the neurosciences. Now, that's important, and it's taken us over 15 years to really get a grasp of this because there's so many fields of study that you have to have a basic understanding of, not just watching YouTube videos, but you need to understand the language or the nomenclature that's associated with it. So the basic vocabulary that's associated with it. Why do we need the neurosciences? Because politics deals with human behavior, how groups of people are going to react to things. There's a very interesting term called the social construct. What is a social construct? What is the social contract? And, knowing these things could only help us make better informed decisions. If we understood the psychology behind why 85% of quote unquote African Americans are voting Democrat, we could then go into the community and help them reverse that trend. Because if we see that 85% of our people, and that's interesting that it's 85%, we call them 85ers. But if we see that 85% of our folks are voting Democrat, What's the psychology behind that? What's the philosophy behind that? What's the social impact behind that? Not just, oh, the Democrats are doing what they want to do. No, it's more to it than that. We need to understand the pathology behind the thinking. So, I just wanted to make sure we share that point as well so that they can see that this is more than just, Democrat, Republican type of thing.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. So take it down?
Yeah, you good. We good. I'll clear it. Yep.
Man. Wow.
That was deep right there.
Whoa, that was a bomb. I don't know if y'all caught that.
Wanted to add on to that though. Isn't that deep as he put it? Like the 85ers, right? And why do our people, as he mentioned, knowing the components of the political science, like the neuroscience, as he mentioned, is so
neuroscience, bro.
Yeah, because they know how to trigger us. Here's how the media gets you. A black man was shot today, right? Already they know that we're sensitive about that because we have the relations in the country with our people in police, law enforcement. Then what they do right now, it's a political year, like happened in 2020 during the pandemic when the George Floyd thing. You get a candidate to throw on a kente cloth, you know what I'm saying, scream Black Lives Matter, take a knee and pander, and people like, yeah, you got my vote.
Mm-hmm.
He went to a black church, he got my vote. You know what I'm saying?
He had fried chicken with us.
Yeah. I remember when people was calling Kamala Harris Auntie Kamala, right?
Yeah.
What happened? What happened now?
Yeah, she turned around and said, I ain't black. I'm all such and such.
Yeah.
But it always go, we watched Bill Clinton come into Harlem. Yeah. And everybody was like, oh, Bill Clinton, he played the flute, he played this, he got his office in Harlem.
He smoked weed.
More black people than any president in the history of the United States of America. And he did it all from in Harlem.
Yep. It's easy to sway the people. It's easy to sway the 85s, as you put it, because they know that we're coming off from a emotional perspective. It's not being logical.
Agreed. Well, the interesting thing about this is I've gotten to be a part of a very, when I say part of the Trump campaign working in New York, that's starting to change. That's trending different because my twin brother lives in North Carolina, for example, and North Carolina is leading the way with black elected officials within the Republican Party. Meaning there's more county chairs, there's more district leaders, there's more black Latino representation within the party than any other state. And we've been directly hands-on in training brothers and sisters to get involved because, again, if you do your history and you just go neutral, which is what we recommend, right? Because we want to conserve, like we said, the urban conservative is understanding reality beyond the narratives. That even means the narratives that people who look like us told us. Because who told you? And how studied was that person? And what are their sources? And what is their life like? Right? So one of the things that would bother us a lot, and this, I'm saying this respectfully, but we have brothers with titles come to us. I'm the Grand Sheik of the High Third Order of the, and I'm the, the most high Poussin third ranking of the, and then light a Newport. Then order a glizzy with extra pork on top. So we like, wait a minute, this isn't adding up. This ain't, the dirty water dog. But you the most high, elevated Sheik, Grand Sheik of the this and that. And me and my brother start scratching our head going, wait, you diabetic, you overweight, your wife hates you, but you got the secrets? You can't hold the conversation without, certain things. So we got to look at these things and then be, respectfully say, okay, well, who am I getting my information from? Why am I even allowing this to become information? Because we don't even know what that means. In means in. Form means to shape. Ation is the action of something. So I don't recommend anyone use information. I recommend you look at data before you form information, before you allow it to get inside of you. It should be data that's empirically studied. Because I'll give you an example. If all of us have children here,
yeah,
how many of us are going to drop our kids off with somebody we have no data on? We don't know how many kids they taking care of. We don't know if those kids survive. We don't know nothing. But you're going to drop your baby off there. None of us are going to do that. No. We're not only going to take the data before we make it information, we're going to vet it. We're gonna let me call these references, and then when we start finding out, yeah, my kid came back with a whelp on their leg. Yeah, my kid came back with ringworm. My kid didn't eat. They told me. Now we got information. That was all the data. Now we got information, and I just want to share this one other little piece to this, because, like you mentioned, Brother Mikey, that our people are emotional. Well, our people are over entertained, and entertainment for those of us in the religious community is possession. It's demonic possession. Now, I don't have to ask you to believe that. All I have to ask you to do is become a little more literate. Enter means to go in. That's what it means. Tain, if you stop and look up the word T-A-I-N, that's a Greek Latin word that means to take hold of. So now we got go in and take hold of. And mint is a Greek word that means mind. Just look it up. Don't believe me. So you don't have entertainment, ain't rapping, singing, and dancing. Enter means to go in. Tain, which you see on words like detain, retain, attain, to take hold of. And then mint, words you see in words like mentality, mental, department. We say mental health. So entertainment is possession. When something gets inside of you and takes hold of your mental faculties, that's not, no. So just I'll leave it there, because I'll go in on this, but
yeah, that was deep right there.
Yeah, Bill, God, Bill.
That was deep. So I want to go on to the next question. The third question was, what are the fundamental differences between democracy, autocracy, and other forms of government?
Okay, so there's a key thing. We have to get adjusted to thinking critically, right? So democracy, demosocracy. What is an ocracy? Well, let's start there. What is an ocracy? Because what happens is we usually have these conversations and we don't agree on the terms. So we see that a lot in political discourse, where we'll be talking about I'll be standing in a grocery store and I hear people talking about legislation. I hear them talking about something, and they're not even talking about the same thing, because they didn't stop and say, well, let's define the terms we're using. So that way we don't argue, we here getting heated about something and we're not even talking about the same thing. So ocracy is the rule of, or the ruling of, the ocracy, right? So now you got demos, which is the mob. Demos is the Greek word for mob. So democracy is mob rule. I got a rhyme that I said, I can't even remember the bar, but it's basically, you not in the family, get a job, right? Because it's like, you're not in the fam, like, you know how the mob rules. So literally a group of the mob rules. If I could get the mob to vote a certain way, the group rules. Autocracy is the rule of one person, right? That's one person going to dictate everything, quite simply put. So autocracy is the autocratic rule. Autocratic is the for lack of a better word, you have absolute power, right? It's ruled by one person and they have their little minions. So that's the basic difference, is that democracy is the rule of the mob and autocracy is the rule of the one sovereign leader, if you will.
Got you. Clear.
That's deep. I got this one right here. Why is the separation of power important in political systems, and how does it work in practice?
So the separation of powers, okay, you need checks and balances, right? If you don't have checks and balances, like this happens in single parent households a lot of the time, where there's one parent, there's no other check, right? And there's no balance. So we've all experienced this with a kid. We tell our kid, yo, it's 9:30, you got to go to bed. We might go off and do something, and if the other person's not there to at 9:29 be like, hey, it's time to go to bed, right? Or the parent, you'll go to the other parent and say, hey, mom, got to stay up to 10, without telling that dad said go to bed at 9:30. So that's where mom and dad come together, go, what time you say? Well, I said, okay, now we got an agreement. That's what it's supposed to be in politics. So you have the executive branch who executes the laws. You have the legislative branch, or legal arm, which drafts the laws, right? So you have your legislative, executive, and then your judicial, which makes determinations on the viability of those laws, which will say, hey, executive branch, you out of pocket. Hey, legislative branch, you out of pocket, or both of y'all are out of pocket. So that's really what the separation is supposed to be. It's supposed to be one group of people who are executives, who are executing, who have military power. Then you have a legal group, the legislators, who come together to draft the laws. And then you have the judges that'll determine or keep in check, hey, y'all getting a little out of control over there. I'm gonna need y'all to, that ain't what the law said, and you can't self-police. So we can't have the executive doing the judicial's job saying, well, we came up with something. Well, that ain't your job to come up with something. That's the legislative branch. But then you can't have the legislative branch G-checking themselves. And that's kind of gotten out of control these days, where you start to hear the subcommittee and the committee on the committee on the committee. That's people have gotten out of hand with trying to keep power. So in practice, it would be the way that I mentioned it, where we in the community say, go to our elected official and say, hey, legislator such and such, the buses, the streets got too many potholes. That person is supposed to go back and say, hey, we need money for potholes. They all get together and say, here's the money for the potholes. That's how that's supposed to work. Now, if one side is getting more money for potholes than the other, and somebody complains, you can't go to the same party that was giving out the money to arbitrate that. You're going to need a separate party from them, which would be your judicial. And then once the judicial says, yeah, y'all wasn't supposed to give all that money over there, y'all need to do this equitable, the executives are supposed to execute the will of the people. That's how it's supposed to work in practice.
That's far from how it's working in reality.
Yeah, so don't we know it? Yeah, don't we know it?
Got you. What are the key principles of political ideologies such as liberalism, conservatism, socialism, and anarchism?
So there's an ism that's missing in there, and I don't know if it's done purposefully, but there's an ism that's more detrimental to the melanated community that's not mentioned there. Marxism. That ism is way more dangerous. I'm going to pull up a document in a second that was released from the FBI a few years ago. So liberalism, right? And we got to remember, these are not static concepts. These are concepts that have changed over time. So what we call a liberal today isn't what we would have called the liberal, 30 years ago. We would have been calling liberals conservatives because what the principles were. So a lot of the times when we throwing these words around, we got to make sure we're connecting the what's called the core values or principles to the name. So a liberal, I'm a conservative, but I'm also liberal with certain things. What does that mean? So example is I'm liberal about what you do with your sexuality. It's none of my concern. I don't care what you do. You should be at liberty to do what you want to do with all your holes and poles. That's your business. Whether I condone it, whether I don't condone it, that's personal to me, but you should be at liberty to do what you want. You want to go take 36 vaccinations? You have the liberty to do that. You want to withdraw your kids from school at home, educate them? You should be at liberty to do that. So liberalism, right, or what's called classical liberalism, now known as conservatism, would be that. Modern liberalism, the liberals or the leftists, this is a whole nother set of rules right here. When we start saying that Black lives matter, but not when the Black woman's pregnant. Like these new liberals are out of control. I just showed y'all the map where you could marry your cousins. That's the new liberalism. That's way too liberal, in my opinion.
Oh, I thought that was old. I thought that was. That's not old.
That map.
Yeah. No.
No, that's I'm saying liberalism today is not what it used to be, right? Yeah. So liberalism today is that nonsense.
Yeah, it's like
us that consider ourselves conservative 30, 40 years ago. When you hear somebody say Kennedy type Democrats, those were considered conservatives back then. Now they're considered liberals. The Democrats is associated with liberals, and Republicans are usually associated with conservatism. So what are we trying to conserve? The nuclear family, right? We trying to conserve. When you say conservative, what are you trying to conserve? So we use conservatism as an example. If you buy a tube of toothpaste and it's at the bottom, we all done this from the hood. You roll the toothpaste, you squeeze all the toothpaste out, you thumbing it out to get it. That's conservatism. When you take your garbage and you turn it into compost, that's conservatism. When you sit with your wife and you figure out meal planning to save money on food, that's conservatism. That's what we represent, conservatism. Now, some people misconstrue that with, well, y'all trying to, the conservatives are trying to make it back like Jim Crow. That's not the case, and that's not true. That's a whole different ball of game. Now, anarchism is no government, rule of whoever. You better have guns. If you can't protect it, you can't keep it. No government, no nothing. Free for all. Savagery. That's anarchism. But the major one is Marxism. So I'm going to pull this up, and I'm going to show y'all this because this is absolutely imperative. Here, can you share this tab?
Marxism.
Did I share it? Let me see. Yeah. Okay. This is from the 50s, the Communist Party and the Negro. Okay. Now, why is this important? This was released in, as you can see, the date 1986. This was declassified in 1986. Now, why is this important? This is the study of relations between the Communist Party. Now, before I do this, I've been in debates with brothers and I've told them what they're going to say before they say it, because this was pre-programmed. The idea of the white man is out to get us, and this whole argument was implanted into the community.
Oh my God. Yo, hold on. Say that again, please.
The idea that the white man is out to get us has been implanted into the community. Now, how do we prove that? Because listen, the one thing if I'm gonna offer an opinion, I'll preface by saying, in my opinion. I very rarely offer opinions because opinions are subjective. They subject to how I feel about it, what I think. I'm more being objective about this and empirical. So let's deal with this implant into the community. How can we prove it? The Communist Party, despite its concentrated efforts, failed to attract even a significant minority of Negroes in the United States to its program. While its attempts to practice its policy of agitation and propaganda among the Negroes on a nationwide basis, the majority of its attention is devoted to those Negroes living in the southern states. Now, the underlying points are what's important. It strives to promote its aims through Negro Communist Front organizations like the DNC and others, infiltrating and controlling legitimate Negro groups. One of its chief difficulties has been and continues to be the problem of white chauvinism. In other words, our white brothers and sisters have called it out every time it's went down. They like, nah, the same thing they did in the beginning of the Republican Party, where they was like, all right, any of our brothers, and I know I'm a little all over the place here, but facts are facts. The idea that slavery is something that only happened to black people or Africans is non-cipher. We can't do that. How can we prove that? All I need, pull up a tab. Somebody pull up the following study on something called the Casor, CASOR, the Casor suit. The lawsuit called the Casor suit. If somebody could pull that up. Now, what happens is, at the present time, it can be stated, along with the decline in national membership, the Communist Party has changed names in America. We're going to get into that. The party has experienced an increasingly greater decline percentage-wise in its Negro membership. So the conclusions, the basic program of the Communist Party in relation to the Negro in the United States from 1928 to 1956 was defined in its two slogans: equal rights and self-determination for the Negroes in the Black Belt, which is the portion of the southern United States containing a large concentration of the Negro population. Communists asserted that Negroes living in this area constituted a separate nation. Now we hear this black nationalism. It's not original. Y'all didn't come up with this black nationalist thing. It's a community implant, right? So communists asserted that the Negro living in the area constituted a separate nation and should be given their rights accordingly. In 1956, the party modified advocacy of self-determination. They took that out because self-determination didn't suit their needs. And other issues remained essentially the same. All right. So this is the point right here. The Communist Party places particular emphasis on getting the support of Negroes employed in basic industries. Right. So I want to go down here. One of the main points of the Communist Party program and its struggle for equal rights is its attempt to increase Negro representation in the executive, legislative, and judicial branches of state and national governments. Although the party is conducting this struggle on a nationwide basis, its main emphasis is in the southern states, right? So here's the thing. Where's it at? Right here. Negro membership in the Communist Party as of June 56 was estimated to be 7% of the total national membership at that time. So hold on. Where's that other piece that I want to give y'all data from? Boom, boom, boom. So where's it at right here? While the party has all to the equal rights can deduct to the Spain, despite most of that. Underneath the Soviet Union and not affecting intrinsic. Hold on, where'd it go? Wait, is it up top right here? Is it up top right here? Boom, boom, boom. All right, so significant line. Other reasons for nigga include two some Negroes and Spanish Negroes. Okay. Numerous reasons can be adduced to explain the failure of the Communist Party in spite of its overwhelming efforts. Hold on, let me hit Command F, and because I want to find the word imperial. I want to find the word. Oh, what's the word? Well, I ain't even going to spend too much time on this, but I want y'all to pull this up because. Oh, okay. Here we go. Here we go right here. Marxist is where this word pops up right here. Marxists, however, qualified this theory by stating that the right of self-determination conflicted with the interests of the working class and it must be subordinated. I'm going to say it again. Marxists, however, qualified that the theory by stating whenever the right of self-determination conflicted with the interests of the working class, it must be subordinated. This was evidenced during World War II when the Communist Party de-emphasized self-determination in order to promote national unity, leading to greater aid. So if y'all peel through this study and you peel through this document, what you're going to come to find out is that they implanted this entire ideal into the community that the United States is an evil, it's an evil country, and you have to fight back against the colonialist and colonialism. Is that it? Now let me get it. Colonialism.
So what you're saying is that they divided the public.
They divided the black community specifically. What they did was they went and got the working class. They started creating what we call unions. So every Black History Month, you start hearing about the first black unions and the train unions and the porters and the porters union. That was them operating in shadow. So when y'all read this entire document, the only understanding you could come away from this is, and I'm gonna leave it up there so y'all can see it and get it for yourself. When y'all read through this, and what you're gonna come to find out is that the Communist Party morphed. And they were being taught by Marxists like BLM. BLM came out and said, the founders of Black Lives Matter came out and said, we are highly trained Marxists. That's a quote. That's not me paraphrasing. That's what they said. Karl Marx lives like the average hood rat dude we know. Several baby mamas, don't take care of none of his kids, don't want to work for nothing. If you read Karl Marx's autobiography, you'll be like, yo, I know a few niggas like that. I know dudes that get down like that. Nasty, nasty dudes, nasty work. So I hope I didn't take up too much time on that, but that's an important part of understanding these systems. Marxism is by far the most dangerous for our people right now because they don't want us to work. They don't want us to have self-determination, as you can see evidenced by this paper. They got rid of self-determination. Who would you tell any of us tell our children we don't want them to be self-determined? That's madness.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
With us on here talking like this, to the public, the average listener, that's coming with a veil over their eyes and gonna be emotional. They're gonna say these guys sound like some black QAnon cats on here talking.
I mean, I've been called a lot of things with this understanding, and I've developed a very tough skin, as we should, because the truth is the truth.
Nah, I get you. The truth has no motivation, as they put it, but they're gonna say like, these guys, they're talking this conservatives talk, and because what you were saying doesn't sound too far fetched from what the father was telling the newborns in the nation, or what Elijah Muhammad was saying. Outside of like the European did this and that to you, but it's always about self-determination and doing for self, being accountable. So
yeah, taking it back to what the God said.
Oh, here we go right here. I found that point, not to cut your wisdom, bro. Communists in the United States believe that the movement for Negro freedom in this country merges with the struggle of colonial people, particularly the darker races, to free themselves from their quote unquote oppressors. So this is when I said I know the argument that a lot of for lack of a better term, RBG, pro-black scholars and pro-black, I know the argument that the colonial oppressors and y'all, that's not even original. That's an implant. That whole thought is an implant from communism.
Rewind, right? Now, number one, I knew it already. I already knew this now, right? Now, I've never seen this document, right? But it's like, when you have like a gut feeling or intuition, I'm like,
many people saying it.
You know what I'm saying? And now I'm saying, so, okay. So for me to like lock it in here, you're saying that this ideology of the oppressor and the white man holding you down was planted in the community by communists.
Right.
Like
I'm not saying that. J. Edgar Hoover and the money spent to do the investigation said that. I'm just bringing it to the fam. I didn't say anything. It's done. And that's why you knew it instinctively, because it's not natural. It don't even make sense. Because listen, our people lead in diabetes. Our people lead in obesity. You can't do that oppressed. You can't get 400 pounds oppressed. It don't work like that.
Yo, and then another thing for me was like, okay, in the 5% nation, you learn that you're God, right? And if you have that information, right, that's the first degree in a 1 to 10. Now, if you're walking around with the first degree in 1 to 10 in your mind, and you turn back around and tell me the oppressor, when you talk with that language, how do you have an oppressor when you're God? The oppressor doesn't exist.
Don't exist. But that go back to like the Jim Crow era too, man. When they're teaching you the dark skin against the light skin, and fair hair against nappy hair, and that's the same ideology that they're using right there.
Right. Well, actual science doesn't agree with the ideology that's being put forward. When those brothers, they may be making this argument and they may actually believe that argument, right? But science doesn't agree with them. Yeah. Now, what do I mean by science not agreeing with them? Let's go to our trustee. Here we go right here. So race as a human categorization. Listen, I said I'm not going to offer too many opinions, right? Because they're subjective, but if you can see this tab, right, this is what we're dealing with right here. Race is a categorization of humans based on shared physical or social qualities into groups. Now, this is the magic word. Generally viewed. If we slow down right there at that part, generally viewed as distinct within a given society. The term came into common usage during the 16th century, which is the 1500s, when it was used to refer to groups of various kinds, including those characterized by close kinship relations. By the 17th century, the term began to refer to phenotypical or physical traits, then later national affiliations. Now, here's where the magic is. Modern science regards race as a social construct, is a category or thing that is made real by convention or collective agreement. It's not a real thing. It is an identity which is assigned based on rules made by the society. While partly based on physical similarities, here's the key. Race does not have an inherent physical or biological meaning. The concept of race is foundational to racism. So you're a racist if you believe there's more than anything other than humans. You're a racist. If you hate white people, you're not a racist. You're a bigot. If you hate black people, you're not a racist. You're a bigot. But if you believe that there's more than one human race, you're a racist.
So
because
only one.
Sorry. Yeah, it's only one race. Yeah.
Ethnicities and nationality it comes down to. But you see how you put that colonial construct, that idea.
That social construct, yes, sir.
Construct is what became a popular thing amongst the people. Like, a majority of our people think our genesis begins with slavery. Information perpetuated, telling them constantly, educating them like, you were a slave. This is who you were before. You get what I'm saying?
Well,
we can on television.
Can we throw that out the window? Can we get rid of the whole idea? Is that let's just get this out of the way, so because this is gonna be right here on your show where this whole narrative, understand the reality beyond the narrative. We was told that slavery was something that happened to us. So John Kaser, surname recorded as Karza or Kosala, is a servant in Northampton County in the colony of Virginia in 1655, became one of the first people of African descent in the 13 colonies to be enslaved for life as a result of a civil suit. Now, if anybody ever tells you that racism, like the left does, tells us that slavery and all of this was based on the white man oppressing the black man, all you have to do is cite this case right here, right? And then we even take it a step further and we'll go like this. Anthony Johnson, right? Boom. Anthony Johnson was a what? Angolan-born man who achieved wealth in the early 17th century in the colony Virginia. He was held as an indentured servant. He earned his freedom after several years and was granted land by the colony. He later became a tobacco farmer. He attained great wealth. This is a African man, black man. The black patriarch of the first community of the Negro property owners of America. So now the interesting thing about this, right, is when he got out of this, Anthony Johnson, was released from his servitude. He was legally recognized as a free Negro and became a successful farmer in 1651. Now, watch the narrative disappear right here. He owned 250 acres and the services of 5 indentured services. Can y'all tell me what he owned? You see what he owned right there? That black man, what did he own? 4 what?
Yeah.
He owned 4 white people.
Yeah.
So wait a minute. White people could be owned by black people? Black people could own other people? So all I'm going to do is put this in a nutshell because y'all got it, saved. But in a nutshell, this is the first time slavery was upheld in a court with a black man owning white people. The laws of slavery were upheld by a black man owning white people. So the whole narrative that slavery was based on in the racism of the white man and the white man, and now we got to get reparations. Okay, so I guess the homies family gonna have to pay up too. Mm-hmm. So that narrative's off the table now. Like we just totally done away with that. That's done. We're finished. So now y'all don't have this to hang your hat on no more. Because of slavery and the white man and slavery, yeah, but then the white people could make the claim because they was enslaved. Not because I say so, but because the court case that we could pull up the documentation says. So basically, the dude went to leave. The white man came down the block and was like, yeah, let him go. You know, I'm gonna buy him from you. He let him go. And then the homie changed his mind like a week later and was like, you know what? I want my property back, and went to court and sued and won. So y'all can read the case for yourself, but you know, I don't want to take up too much time with this, but you know, we go to the next question, I guess.
Bill, God, Bill. That's what I'm talking about.
All right, where were we? What are the key political? Okay, we went there. How do interest groups influence political decision making, and what are the ethical considerations?
So let's define interest group first. If us four collectively live in the same neighborhood and we want the streets fixed, and we say we are the four brothers of the street fixers, we became an interest group. We're a group that has an interest. So we gotta stop. A lot of times these terms come with a connotation. They're not bad. Now, the ethical line, right? Interest group is any group of people who have an interest in a particular policy issue. So whether that's firearms, whether that's what you feed in the schools, whether that's abortion or pro-life, interest group is a group of people who share a common interest and are smart enough to create a political energy around that. In other words, all right, let's just say us four have the similar issue, and I know all the legislators. Like, I have all the relationships with the legislators, and I could pick up the phone and call them and say, hey, us four brothers got an issue, and this is our issue, and blah, 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 and there's 100 people behind us. That's what an interest group is. Now, interest group is also can be created by multi-billion-dollar corporations. Like I just showed y'all the communists and the Negro, how they implant and put money and create unions and create things to shape a narrative. Now, what's the ethical implications of that? The ethical implications of that are the lobbyists and the people who are pro-Planned Parenthood, which have killed over 50, 60 million black babies over 2 decades. That's an interest group. That's a bad interest group with a serious problem. That's a bad deal right there, right? Because who knows what they got rid of in those 50 million babies that didn't make it to see this side of reality. We don't know if there was another black president in there. We don't know if there was an inventor who could have created the energy that would have saved the world. Who knows? We won't ever know because they're gone because of that interest group. Now, there's an interest group, the interest group that wants tissue, right? That wants tissue from black and Latino women. So there was a study released last year, an investigation released last year, where they found that the university in Washington was buying 49% Latino and black baby tissue. Every time you hear somebody say they're getting stem cell injections, that's where they're getting the stem cells is from the aborted babies. So now we know there's an interest in making sure abortions go through. I don't even got to talk about the ethical implications of that. It's obvious, right? That's blatantly obvious, that the implications of that. Now, if we want to say that, you know, what is the ethical implication? All right, the ethical implication is 50 million children that didn't get to see the side of reality, or some policy initiative that didn't get pushed properly because it didn't benefit some business person, or it didn't benefit some coalition of politicians, or some what do you call it? Not a bureaucracy, right? It didn't benefit the government system or the group of people. So what I mean by that is, here in New York, you have people wanting to give illegal migrants working papers or wanting to give them driver's license. There's interest groups fighting on behalf of that. But there on the counter side is interest groups who ain't having that and will fight against that. So the ethical implications depend on the interest of the group. And I think those are sometimes self-evident once you find out what the interest of the interest group is.
Okay. Thorough. Okay. What is the significance of the media in shaping public opinion and influencing political discourse?
Great question. So as I said earlier, multi-ethnic destruction in America. Media. That's what we're dealing with. So the role of the media And if you start pulling up these so-called talking heads, I'm pretty sure we all seen this video, right? It's a collage where they start one newscaster speaking about a story, and then they show the other 57 newscasters in unison reading the same thing. And the reason that is because if you repeat a lie enough times, it becomes the truth to those who aren't seeking truth. It becomes you. So their job, and a lot of the talking heads you see on there, the Don Lemones, the Rachel Maddows, the Joy Bayards, these people, if you look up their thing, why would a newscaster have an IMDb? You'll always notice it says actor right next to their name. Why does it say actor right next to your name? And then all I have to do is go back to what I told y'all about entertainment. That's why they call it that, because they realize, all right, so what's the method of input? When I said enter means to go in, how is it going in? Auditorily. That's the input. Visually, that's the input. So the media's job in shaping political discourse depends on who owns the media. How many of us know who Sumner Rothstein is? Have you ever heard that name? Sumner Rothstein. Okay, let's do it. Back to our trusty Google window. Sumner Rothstein.
What we used to call it? Tell live vision. Telling live.
So now look at this. Look at this right here. Can you let me pull up this tab? Share screen. Now this is good. There's a couple of levels on this, because when we talk about people who know, right, and a quick language thing. So his name is Sumner Murray Red Stone. Now, anytime you see Rothstein, Roth means red and Stein means stone, or Stein means stone. So now when you see Brugelstein and Bergenstein and Sheckelstein and Rothstein, now you know they're talking about stones. A whole nother conversation, but what stones are they talking about? Why did he name himself the Red Stone? Another conversation. Was an American billionaire, businessman, and media magnate. He was the founder and chairman of the second incarnation of Viacom, CBS, both company merged in 2019. He owned the entire media world. That is your BET, that is your MTV, all him. That's all him right there.
One second. Right. Got you. Now, let's take it to the Stones. What's up with the Stones?
That's a rabbit hole. So for those of us, all right, does anybody know what's under the Queen of England's throne, or the King of England's throne? Does anybody know what's under there?
No, I don't.
Okay. So now we got to pull up another tab, and we got to pull up something called the Jacob Stone. Okay.
Sound like 2008 over again, Ron. I'm back in 2005, bro.
Uh-huh.
I feel like we're back in 2005, man, with DVDs and books.
Oh yeah.
So here we go. The stone of Jacob appears in the book of Genesis as the stone used as a pillow by the Israelite patriarch Jacob. Do y'all know what the flag of England is called? It's called the Union Jack. It's not Jack. It's the Union Jacob. All right. So the stone that sits under her throne is the so-called stone of Jacob. So I mean, again, it's a whole nother conversation, but Blue House, Red House Lodge.
Oh man, here we go.
And we're gonna leave it there. And I'm in the craft, so I can talk about this. It's self-explanatory. Red Lodge, Blue Lodge, Red Stone, Blue Stone. I'll give you the simple version. That's who owns your BET. That's who owns your MTV. This family right here. And now it's important to know, until his death, he was the majority voting shareholder of Viacom CBS. Then we can look up what Viacom CBS owned. Viacom CBS owned. Let me see. Let's get down. Yeah, they owned it all. They owned everything. Viacom owned everything. CBS, you name it. Like it's like I said, self-explanatory.
Monopoly.
It's a monopoly. So now, what is the media's role? Well, the question is, what's his agenda? That's what we need to ask now, because now we went from the media to, well, he owns the media, or a large portion of it. Do y'all know what the trophy that you win in the NBA Finals is called?
No.
It's called the Larry O'Brien Trophy. Do y'all know who Larry O'Brien was?
No.
a Democratic Party leader. Yo, you can't make this up. If I pull up Larry O'Brien, it's one of the first things that's going to come. Look, Larry O'Brien. What does that say? As soon as you pull it up, what's the first thing you see? American politician in basketball. He was one of the United States Democratic Party leaders and leading electoral strategist for more than 2 decades. It's none of this stuff is like, I don't offer opinions. This is not speculation. The job of the media is no different than the media's job has been back in the Roman times. So there was a family that would use rumor innuendos to destroy kingdoms. The last name of that family was Medea or Media. So what happens is you end up with games and toys and sports to keep people occupied and entertained. So the media's job is to entertain and repeat the lie enough times where it becomes true. Now, I'm a Republican, I'm a conservative, and I'm going to say that about Fox News. I'm going to say that about CBS. I'm not impartial. Everybody gets smoked. Y'all all on the same side as far as I'm concerned. There's no right-leaning news. The only news is when you sit and watch the boring House Judiciary Committee meetings yourself. There's no need for a news reporter when you went to the city council meeting and you heard the proposed legislation. There's no need for the news if you hit download on the public policy that's being promoted and it's 800 pages. I ain't got time for that. Well, you do if you don't watch the NBA. Mm-hmm. That's so. I mean, I'll go in on this for a while, but that's the media's job. Through people like this, through others like Sumner Redstone and his family who now own this, and that's their job in shaping political discourse, is to repeat the lie long enough. And as we know, the gods and the earths are going to agree with this. 85-5-10 breakdown is one of the biggest things we took from that knowledge itself, because the 85 works with the 10. Mm-hmm. So it's really 95 verse 5. Right. So if we're in the 5%, you got the 85 who don't know nothing, right? That's ruled by 10% of them and managed by 10% of them. And out of that 85, half of them are going to fight like dogs to protect that 10%.
That's a fact. You see it every day on social media. Mm-hmm. They go hard for these celebrities, fight even knowing them. They defend them.
Yeah, bro. It's terrible. So
they defend them.
That's right.
Of course.
Thorough again. I want to go with this question. Mm-hmm. What role do constitutions play in governing a country, and how do they evolve over time?
So, the Constitution, right, is some people think a constitution gives you your rights. It doesn't give you your rights. Your rights are endowed to you by your creator, right? As in the first line of that. Allah gives us our rights. Whatever God you subscribe to, whatever your ideology or your religious ideology may be, your rights are endowed to you by your creator. Mm-hmm. The Constitution's job is to enumerate them or to write them down and to create a guideline to know what's what. So constitutions can be amended. Constitutional amendments can be changed by something called a convention of states. There's a group or organization called the Convention of States, where their job is to call what's called the Constitutional Convention. So let's use the 13th and 14th Amendment, for example, more specifically the 14th Amendment. And instead of telling y'all, let's pull up the votes, right? So votes on the 14th Amendment, okay? And this is what we're going to do. 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. Here we go. Library of Congress. Let's use this. So let's go here. 14th Amendment giving people the right to vote, right? Right to vote. 14th Amendment. 14th Amendment to the Constitution was allow. Okay. The Senate passed the 14th Amendment by a vote of 33-11. Now this is interesting because 100% of the Democrats voted against the 14th Amendment. 100% of the Democrats voted against the 13th Amendment. 100% of them. So if the Republicans are the party of hatred and anti-blackness, why would they vote 100% for the 13th and 14th Amendment, where the Democrats voted 100% against the 13th and 14th Amendment? So the constitutions are changed via constitutional conventions, and they don't give you your rights. They label your rights, and they are a guideline in essence, in simple terms. So that's what it is. Now you have a constitution is the agreement in order to form a more perfect union between who? A more perfect union. So the union was perfect. No, it wasn't perfect because we wouldn't have had to say more perfect. Perfect is perfect. I don't know what school of thought anybody else come from, but if it's perfect, I don't know how we're going to improve on perfect. But clearly we can. Like, obviously we can. But our founding fathers, if you will, drafted that because guess what they knew existed at the time? Slavery. Now, the people who drafted this, and they get a lot of flack because, well, they own slaves. Okay, like, a lot of our Christian brothers and sisters are wearing 2 fabrics. You own 3 shirts. In the Bible in Leviticus, it says you can't mix and match fabrics. You got 2 shirts. We're not stoning you for that. You just rocking with the times. If you got on a hat made in China and it's made of polyester and something else, you out of pocket according to the scripture. So what are we going to do? Stone you for that? Like, we're going to condemn you for that? So I'm not making excuses for them. I'm just being objective. I'm saying that the Constitution was written for changes to be made. For changes to be made that they knew couldn't happen in their time. Like we put acorns away for our grandchildren. Like we put things away and we instill things in our kids. Like one of the big things in our household is operating within the government as it exists while preparing for the eventuality that it changes. So we operate and we get into positions of power. I could hold on, let me see. Did my phone just cut off? Let me show y'all this. It's because it's easier to show you than tell you, right? So one of the things we big on, where is it? Right about not there. Okay, cool. I don't know if y'all gonna be able to see this over the screen, right? Let me go this way. Let me lock my screen. Lock. So this right here is a certificate. Let me just airdrop it to the computer. That'll be better. Turn Bluetooth on.
To the people watching, to the viewers and listeners, click, share, like, and subscribe. This is some great content. Yeah, so I'm taking
this up here. We'll present, share screen. Right. And this is, I'm not trying to go off a subject with the question, right? But I just want to show y'all this. It's better to show you than tell you. Right. So this is what we got. I got the screen up there if you can share that.
All right.
So y'all can see the year and y'all can see what's going on right there. All right. So, and then you see the mail came to the crib, to the P.O. box and all of that. Mm-hmm. So again, and I have the point that I'm making with showing this, right, is when we start talking about the Constitution and we start talking about, you know, how it's changed, we don't need to necessarily make a whole bunch of changes because we have the right to vote. We have our rights enshrined. Now it's about understanding your state constitution. Don't worry about the national constitution. We need to be worried about the state constitution. So New York State has a constitution. New Jersey has a constitution. Sure. So if you didn't know that, now you know that there's a state constitution. So this is one of the things that as we started to get into our political awareness, we began to leave. We got into a beef over this with the Moors, with one of the Moorish houses, which we love our brothers, but right and exact is right and exact. This is literally why this is important. So the Moorish sister said, I don't need to have a driver's license. And I said, well, the Constitution of the state you live in says you do. And she proceeded to tell me that the Constitution didn't apply to her because she wasn't a party to it. And I said, well, how do you drive the car? She goes, what do you mean? I said, so if the Constitution says if you're in physical control of the vehicle, I said, are you in physical control of the vehicle? She said, no, I'm in spiritual control. That's how far gone our people are. I'm like, so your spirit's holding the wheel? It's like, all right, wait, we had to hit the eject right there, right? Because listen, we was fez rocking hard body Moors. Like, you couldn't tell us nothing. And at the end of the day, right and exact is right and exact. You can't in one breath say we're not party to the Constitution, but we founded this nation and it's built on the print. Like, you can't have it both ways. So that's why our motto is to participate in government as it exists to our benefit while preparing for the eventuality that it will change. So that's where, again, if a convention of states happens, then the national body will change. If within the state, the legislators can make a change with a vote and change your state constitution, ratify it, add things or take away to close that out.
All right, let's go to how does the concept of sovereignty influence global politics and international law?
That's a very Moorish question. Sounds like a very Moorish question right there. Okay, so let's deal with sovereignty first. There's a lot of misconceptions and with sovereignty. So if I could get a clarification on what sovereignty they're talking about, because sovereignty isn't one thing. In your house, you are the sovereign. In your crib, we have a social contract here in the United States, and pretty much every society has an agreement amongst ourselves, right? You notice how in fairly safe communities you can walk around and people just aren't taking each other's things and large scale, right? It ain't just because we have a social agreement. 8 out of 10 times if I go into if I see Brother Mikey Fever come into the door, the type of brother I am, I hold the door. It's part of our kind of social agreement. Like, I'm gonna hold the door for the next person, right? So we have to explain what version of sovereignty we're using here. Because if we're saying sovereign as in, we are an individual ruler of everything around us and everybody else is a ruler, we've just devalued the term sovereignty. If everybody's a king and nobody's a jester, if everybody's a king and a queen, so who's the farmers? Who's the court clown? Who's the court musician if we all kings? To me, so the term sovereign, it does play a part in that the representation of our sovereignty here in the United States of America is our president, is our elected officials, the people put there to represent our national sovereignty. That is the way that the corpus or body that we've all put our sovereignty into. That's where it lies, into our elected officials. And when they don't do the right thing, we come together, we censure, we unelect, we do what we got to do to get them up out of there. So how does that play a role? I would love to go to North Korea and talk to somebody about sovereignty. I'd love to go to China and talk to somebody about sovereignty. I'd love to go to Australia or the UK and talk to somebody about sovereignty. That only exists here. So the role that it plays is that it's used as a manipulation tactic, again, to keep people under control. The sovereign is the King of England right now. And they believe that he's been ordained by God. Why else would he have the Jacob stone? Why else would he be wearing the crown? Why else would he come from this bloodline and blah, 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 blah. So you have all of those different aspects of sovereignty, right? So it's a very nuanced conversation, but to kind of, bullet shotgun it, right? Internationally, it's a different ball game because nowhere else does this idea of individual sovereignty exist. It's only a conception we have here where we have the freedom to think of all kinds of wild stuff. Like, we're going to separate and become our own nation. Black Americans, African Americans are the 12th or 13th largest buying power on the planet. We have the buying power large, like almost the size of a country. Interesting, because I have a background in the music industry, and one of the things that I used to look at was all of the advertising data for BET. So when you go look up the advertising data for BET, they collect all of your financial information, through the Nielsen box, through the Nielsen ratings, and all these other things. And one of the things that I noticed was that we, meaning black people, were spending money we didn't have. They labeled our income as disposable income because we buying a lot of sneakers and shoes and da 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 da. So we're exercising our economic sovereignty. But what are we investing in? That becomes the question. So it's what type of sovereignty, but on an international level, it changes because, again, you have countries that have rulers that are absolute monarchs, autocracies. You have dictatorships. You have Putin over in Russia. You got Xi Jinping over in China. So the conversation goes, there is no sovereignty anywhere. The sovereign is Xi Jinping. The sovereign is Putin. The sovereign is that guy. Here in America, the sovereignty of our nation is invested in our elected officials.
Gotcha. That's a fact. That was deep and educated, and for to break the ice, bring some humor, as this clown said. If you don't vote for me, you ain't black.
And then went and had fried chicken and ate a burger. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Ron? If you don't vote for me, you ain't black.
You ain't black.
Yeah, well, I don't even subscribe to all that right there. But
it's comical to me.
Yeah,
let me honest with you. Yes, it's part of life. We gotta take it serious, but I take it as comical because it's the same dance every 4 years. Because at the end of the day, let's keep it real. The Asian community, and I'm not pointing fingers, you never see them in an uproar when it comes to politics. You know why? They have unity. They have collective economics. As he said, we're the 12th largest group that spends the most money, but yet we have no unity.
Spending all our money on the wrong things, man.
Exactly. Like if we had the funds, if we had our minds together, we could have had somebody do that old lobbying. All right, we'll get you this. But you know
what though, Mike?
Yeah.
I think that right there is a plant too.
Oh,
I don't know if it's a plant or it's just over time we just got so used to complaining about each other. It's not, like we don't do this, we don't do that. But what are we doing though?
It's a
well, I think there's a misconception that I've been asking this question for years, and no one has given me a legitimate answer. Who qualifies to be in the black group? What are the qualifications? We always say we. Who? What if I don't have the same morals as you?
Exactly.
What if your morals is I want to sell crack because that's my only option? That ain't my morals. My morals is, well, I'm gonna work this McDonald's job and I'm gonna go to college and I'm gonna do this and that. So I think we have this issue. When I say we, all of us here, is we put ourselves into a group without understanding, do we fit in that group? Like, do we really? Because if skin tone is the qualification to be in the group, and we just understood that race is a social construct, I've been told because of my views that I no longer could identify with black people because of my views. Me, grew up in foster care to a 13-year-old mother who was addicted to drugs in Brooklyn in the late 70s, beginning of the crack era. I don't know the hood. I grew up in Tryon. What? Like, I don't understand the struggle. You know who you talking to? You know how hard it is for me to not put hands on people?
But why does the hood has to define us? That's unfortunate. Like our people, it's synonymous. Like you ain't black if you're not from the hood. That's foolish.
That's nonsensical, bro. Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
It's serious too, man. If you ain't talking crazy, you ain't acting crazy, you ain't doing that. And I go through the same thing too, man. I have some people talk, yo, man, you ain't from around the way. You asked this. I said, yo, man, I got locked up 77 times, bro. You know what I'm saying? Before, because they expecting us to be around breaking glass and punching heads off. You know what I'm saying? Yo, look, and to bring it to that, just last week, a sister came to me when I was having a pantry, right? And she was asking me something about a table. So I was telling the sister that this ain't the time nor the place for this. And she kept going on. I'm like, yo, sis, this ain't the time nor place for this. And she's like, oh, you acting like a girl. And I had to sit there and I had to ask her, I said, yo, so if I go over there and crack you upside the head, then that's what you would consider me a man? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, what's the expectation that they putting us under? So I'm talking to her like a girl, because I'm not calling her a whole bunch of hoes and bees and telling her to suck my such and such. I'm talking like a girl.
We used to get told, because we speak, we pride ourselves on being able to speak proper English. We were always told, y'all speaking like white people. Like, what?
That's a sickness right there.
Yeah, yo, all right. I mean, cool. I'm all right. I mean, but you do realize I'm a hip hop artist too. You do like realize I write rhymes and I could curse and be ignorant as I want. But I think and again, when I say we have to make sure we know what bucket we're in, right? Black culture doesn't belong to us. That is an implant. Black culture does not belong to us. Has nothing to do with us.
Now, when you look at it, we don't.
Yo, that's my man now. Yo, I rocks with you, right?
Yeah.
Yo, you know what it is? I love human beings, people. But I think because it's my cultural background too, I got a love for my
What
people.
is black culture, bro?
I love my people. I don't care where you from. I got love for if I see you, it don't matter what complexion you are, I got love for you. But when it comes to seeing people that look like me, I got a lot of love for. You get what I'm saying?
Well, that's natural. That's natural. That's natural. But what's not natural is the modern iteration of black culture. Now, there's a direct connection that we could draw from black culture to its origin. It's easy to do. It takes no time. We could do it through the food. Let's start with black culture. Yeah. Y'all tell me, what black food do we see at a barbecue that we call black culture?
Chicken. Cornbread,
macaroni salad,
mashed potatoes.
Okay, let's deal with the famous one, chitlins.
Okay,
hell no.
No, not that you eat them, but we know that that's seen as black culture. Chitlins, when you eating chitlins. Our elders used to play card games like Tunk and Whisk, right? Let's ask, what does the word chitterling mean? Where does that word come from? Chitlin. What is a chitterling? So if you just do a word search on the word chitterling, it'll drive you to Southern England. Now we found out when you trace our card games like spades and tunk, where do those card games come from? Southern England. Where does us using this and that when we talk come from? Where does our language as black culture come from? All of our words derive from Southern English culture. How do we know that?
Ghetto, the word ghetto, the slums.
Well, when slaves were brought here, and when those slaves lived in poor white communities next to poor whites, they absorbed the white cracker culture. There's a book on it called Cracker Culture, where a white man went through the South and he said, and this not me saying it, he said, you could tell the businesses that were ran by Southerners versus the business that were ran by Northerners because of the quality of the business, the Southern-owned businesses, the cracker culture. The Southern English people considered themselves a distinct race from the Northern English people, who are the more hoity-toity, uppity, hard-working class. They would rather live next to the slaves than the poor whites. So in this book, Cracker Culture, you'll find out that the origins of black ghetto euphemisms have their inception in cracker culture. They don't have its inception with the black community, because y'all remember, we got our identity stripped. What did Brother Malcolm say? They stole our identity. They stole our language. They stole our religion. Or they took it, rather. Not stole it. They got rid of it. Fair point. I'm going to rock with you. We came here. We were speaking African. They taught us a new language. Whose language was it? It was English, right? Which English? Because English ain't one thing. It's Northern English dialect and Southern English dialect. If you listen to a black pastor preach and you listen to a Southern English pastor preach, and I tell you, that's Southern English behavior. That's how the ghetto, boisterous, quick to fight, no love for life, that I don't care mentality comes from cracker culture. That don't belong to us.
Yep.
Yep. I mean, yeah, and that's deep, God, because I mean, it go back down to it. And I always said that too. You know, I sit back and I acknowledge, and I'll be like, who is the we in this? Because when they throw the we out in there, you know, it don't fit. None of it fit you. And it don't really fit the majority of the people that you be around either. You know what I'm saying? You're like, man, I don't fit none of that, you know? I don't eat them things. I don't carry myself that way. You know, it's a lot of things that we promote and we keep on carrying on with. You know, go back to what like the God said, all the way back down to when we was young and they came out with the word soul food and all that, you know, which is really slave food, you know, the slops that they threw away.
It's celebrated.
Yeah, and, you know, we had to celebrate to get, but nowadays we not slaves. We don't got to eat slop, you know. And a lot of the things that they promoted, we went to the grandma house and they promoted the chitlins, they promoted the spare ribs and all that, but they also didn't tell us that the reason why our grandmother had one leg cut off was because of them chitlins. And that, yeah, you know what I'm saying? They never told us that.
Yeah, I pulled up the tab. I pulled up the tab for y'all to see that, so y'all see it's not my opinion, right? Look, if you could pull that up, chitlins, sometimes spelled chitlins, is the large intestine of a domestic animal. They're usually made from pig intestines, and they may be filled with force meat to make sausage. Chitterling is first documented in what?
Middle English.
So when I tell y'all these things, right, I'm saying this from a point of understanding the language, that it's all hidden in the language. There's a difference. All right, so we don't say, if we say we're going to get some fried chicken, you'll hear other people say we're going to have poultry. Mm-hmm. There's a difference between chicken, which is the Germanic slang. The farmers use chicken, the nasty, horrendous word, and the aristocrats use poultry. Mm-hmm. The farmers use pigs and hogs. The aristocrats use bovines, swine. They use those words. So language is the key to all of this, unlocking all of this.
Exactly. It's the sound, the frequency.
Yeah, you come to our neighborhood, we got liquor stores. You go to the rich neighborhood, they got wine and spirit shops.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In our communities, what we have also, pardon me for stuttering, Planned Parenthood in their communities, they got, you know what I'm saying?
No, they got Planned Parenthood too, though. They look, Planned Parenthood knocking everything down for real. They knocking everything down.
A lot of our local politicians get a lot of money from them too.
Yep. Yeah, that is a fact.
Well, I wanna conclude. That was a great build right there. That was a great build. And before we conclude, do you want to say anything? Any of the brothers want to, close with anything to say to the public?
I'm just saying peace, man. I'm glad that we putting this together, man. We're getting deeper every week, and we're gonna keep on bringing more people on. I'm glad that God got some time to come on, you know what I'm saying, and build and take us to a whole nother era. And every time we get on, we just gonna get better and better and better, man. And we always welcome. We open on Mondays, man. So come on through, man. Some more times, God, to drop and build with us.
Indeed. And I just want to let people know that we have super chat now. So if you want to ask a question, hit that super chat. Whatever you want to donate, you can.
Yes.
No pressure. You want to ask a question, hit the super chat. Boom. I'll look at the question and then I'll ask the brother or one of the brothers, your question. Like we said, we're fairly new to this now. We're what Mike? We're like 7 months in now.
7 months in, and it's a pleasure, man, to meet with great minds. Shout out to KBorn, shout out to Raheem.
Yes, sir.
Shout out to my brother Ron for bringing me on this journey. The only thing I gotta say, I know, we said this earlier. My love is for my people, man, and for everyone else, but mainly is for the people that's out there that look like me. I don't care where you're from. It's time for us to wake up. We have to wake up. Be critical thinkers. Stop being emotional. Stop being driven by emotion. Stop being used as a tool. Because that's all they use us for. You get what I'm saying? As the brother said, the slang, everything else, they create it, but they make money off of it. You get what I'm saying? We just the pawns. We're your entertainment, and we subjected ourselves to be in your entertainment. So let's just stop doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, I want to thank you guys for having me on the podcast. I really appreciate it. I'd advise everybody or ask that everybody check out the Urban Conservative. And as I mentioned earlier, my twin brother's running a political campaign down in North Carolina, District 12 for Congress. He's running against a 20-something year incumbent who's done nothing for early childhood literacy in Charlotte, which is a very black city, if you will. She's done nothing for Charlotte ranks 50 out of 50 for cities with upward economic mobility. So what that means is 50 means there's no upward economic mobility. The kids can't read, you can't build a business in that city. So check out Ali for Congress. That's ALI for Congress. We usually go live every morning for top of the morning on YouTube, Facebook at TUC Twins. And again, I want to thank you, brothers. Continue to do this. I hope I could be a part of the journey. Our resources are your resources. Whatever we could do to help, bring y'all up, all rising tides should lift all ships. So again, I appreciate the build. I appreciate the time, and thank you to the audience, and thank you, brothers, for having us.
No doubt, man.
Thank you all for tuning in tonight. We really appreciate it. We're going to try to go live every Monday, same time, 7 o'clock, sometimes 7:10 or 7:10. But every Monday, we're going to try to go live. And thanks for watching. Like, share, comment, subscribe to the page. Peace.
Peace.